Welcome to the Greenway with Mac, a channel dedicated to active transportation. Today we are in beautiful Barcelona, Spain, and we are taking a scenic loop through the city. Just as I did with my Porto video, this video will be broken up into sections. The full route is one I've named the Barcelona Boot, because when I mapped it out, it looked like a soccer cleat. Part 1 is the back side of the heel, the top, and the laces, and is 4.5 miles. We are starting at the Arco de Triunfo, which was built as an entrance for the 1888 Universal Exhibition. While other famous arcs were built for military achievements, this one was a celebration of civil ones. We are on the northwest side of the arc, and we will be riding down the middle of Passeig de Sant Joan. There is a protected path for the entirety and bike signals for most of this ride, which is why I really like it and recommend it for visitors to the city. But you will still be crossing some large intersections that may be uncomfortable for inexperienced riders, so Part 2 will be more suitable for them. In Part 2, we will be biking along the beach, and all riders should be comfortable riding along the path. This initial section heads northwest uphill for about 10 blocks, and I think we caught a red light at each one. The Barcelona Boot is 8 miles long with only a slight uphill section and has a total pedal time of 45 minutes to an hour. I would budget a few hours because there are some really obvious places to stop, but in addition, many hidden spots that may pull at you, and you shouldn't feel rushed on a ride like this. This plaza is a shady spot to rest. There is a fountain, a statue, and a small playground that make it a popular location for locals to bring their kids and dogs. The Tetuan metro station is also here, part of line L2, which is one of 12 different metro lines in the city. There are also 6 tram lines serving the city, one of which we will see later. As you can see with the bike rickshaw in front of us, the bike lanes can be used by a variety of little vehicles, and these don't really fit. The signage on this protected path was really nice. It's worth noting that the bike signals have arrows. This will be important near the end of the ride. Cyclists have their own signal, and occasionally you will see other signs that highlight the various bike routes in the city. In fact, this bike lane is part of Eurovelo 8, which is a planned bike path from Cadiz in southern Spain, all the way to Athens, Greece. This route is called the Mediterranean route and is a pretty cool idea, but it's still in the very early stages. The section through Barcelona is labeled, but most of the project is still in the planning stages. If you are into bicycle touring, then this is a project you want to keep your eyes on because the full route looks epic. The intersection with Avinguda Diagonal, there is another statue, this one at Plaça de Mossèn Jacint Verdaguer. Construction recently opened on this bike lane, which is a huge improvement for cyclists because this was one of the city's most dangerous intersections. This avenue, like its name suggests, cuts diagonally across neatly gridded streets and is about 150 feet wide throughout. It's under construction in a few locations, so it's messy, but in general, it is an important road with plenty of space for bikes and pedestrians to navigate the city. We will be joining up with it in a little bit as it forms the top section of our boot. At Carrer de Provença, we will turn right. The bike lane's location on the left of car traffic makes this a little complicated if you don't want to clog up the bike lane by stopping and waiting to turn. So we did this little 270 maneuver. Barcelona generally has some really good bike infrastructure, and 10 out of 10 by North American standards. But occasionally you'll find these awkward little situations that the Dutch have all but solved. Just up ahead is our first landmark, Sagrada Familia. This basilica has been under construction since 1882. The original architect had designed it to be a Gothic-style cathedral. When he resigned a year later, a local architect named Antoni Gaudí was recruited, and he modified the design with curvier elements inspired by the natural world. Gaudí was very religious and dedicated his life to the project for the next 44 years until his death. Also called God's architect, Gaudí was inspired by nature and turned to it when designing the models of his projects. This is observed throughout Sagrada Familia, and one breathtaking example is the way he designed the interior columns and roof supports to resemble giant trees supporting a forest canopy. There are parks that take up the near and far side blocks of the basilica. The near one has a playground and cafe, the far one has a lagoon and gardens. Sagrada Familia was initially scheduled to open in 2026 on the 100th anniversary of Gaudí's death, but that date has been indefinitely postponed. If you are incorporating a tour of the basilica into your ride, then be sure to purchase tickets in advance because they will sell out. We are going to continue down the same street on the north side of Sagrada Familia and take it 3 blocks past the park. If you have time, go see Gaudí's other breathtaking works, including Casa Batlló, Casa Mila, and Park Güell. My personal travel recommendation, besides touring Sagrada Familia, is to do the Magic Nights at Casa Batlló. These tickets include the full tour of the Gaudí-designed building and an hour-long concert on the roof afterwards. Inside this masterpiece, where straight lines don't seem to exist, you will feel underwater in one room and inside a dragon's skeleton in another. The design is over 100 years old and really captures your imagination. All ages should appreciate this absolute treasure of Catalonia. The street signs can be difficult to spot, but look for the nice bike lane leading us onto Carrer de Cartagena. From here, we are going southeast for 5 blocks. We do have a bike lane, but it's not curb protected like our other one. All over Barcelona, you'll find these little bubbles on the road, often called armadillos, that deter vehicles, but don't offer the same protection as full curbs. But drivers in Barcelona generally respect the bike lanes, so they seem to serve the purpose. This road leads us directly into a really neat area that was a first for us. This area under renovation, called Poblenou Park and Lagoon, is becoming a beautiful green space for the city. While still under construction, there was plenty to do and see. Currently, there are many amenities including a huge grassy area, a playground, a dog park, and basketball courts. The open space was really popular on the Friday morning of our ride. Even though we had just stopped at Sagrada Familia, we chose to stop again. Only buses and trams are allowed on the surface now, so there is significantly less pollution and noise. Originally, this neighborhood was divided by a busy road, but those car lanes were moved underground. The 1-kilometer underground car tunnels had just opened, and the focus has now turned to the expansion of the surface-level park space. It was really exciting to see the city remove private cars from the area and replace them with open space and catalysts for activity. The bike route was a little confusing, but you make a Z shape to cross the plaza and make our way onto Diagonal. Eventually, these walls will be removed and you'll be able to join Avinguda Diagonal much easier. This tram is the T4, and the Glòries tram station is just ahead on the right. You can also catch the T5 and the T6 lines there. The Barcelona Museum of Design is on our right, and you'll temporarily have to squeeze by pedestrians until the plaza is finished. Inside the museum are temporary exhibits and 4 permanent sections in the following categories: contemporary object design, historical design and techniques, fashion, and graphical design. Underground, you'll find the Glòries metro station here, which serves line L1. Similar to the start of our trip, our bike lanes are in the middle of the road. But riding on Diagonal is much better because of its width and appropriation of space. One-way bike lanes straddle the pedestrian area in the middle of the avenue. As with many big cities, there are lots of tourists who aren't as familiar with how the lanes work, so give yourself lots of space and ring your bell as needed. This part of Avinguda Diagonal is so inviting. While the street could just as easily be 8 lanes of fast-moving car traffic, instead it is a quiet and relaxing walkway. This style of road is often called an Alameda due to its wide promenade and shady trees. There are other Alamedas in Barcelona, like Passeig de Gràcia and Avinguda de Josep Tarradellas, that connect with Diagonal and create a low-stress, car-free way to move across the city. La Rambla is also an Alameda, but it doesn't intersect with Diagonal. It's usually very crowded anyway, so you wouldn't want to bike on it. This Alameda is a super cool one because it has a tram over grass alongside it. Avinguda Diagonal also divides the Sant Martí district in half. Sant Martí is made up of 10 neighborhoods, and for a long time it was just marshes and farmland. Now it's the second most populous part of the city, after l'Eixample. The neighborhood on our right is El Poblenou, and on the left is Provençals del Poblenou. The bushy green wall is the border of Poblenou City Park. This playful space has 3 sections with athletic courts, colorful gardens, and unique features like these little windows. I mentioned l'Eixample a moment ago, and I want to talk about it for a sec. That district is where they expanded outside of the city walls in the 1800s and 1900s. Blocks were designed as a grid, with each block being a square with rounded edges. This feature allowed more sunlight to the street and improved visibility in the intersections. In 2016, Barcelona invented Superblocks in l'Eixample, which stopped through traffic on 2 out of 3 streets and opened street space back up to people outside of vehicles. Air and noise pollution are down, biking and walking are way up. The Superblocks have been super popular, and other neighborhoods are demanding them. There are several currently under construction. This park on the right is Diagonal Mar Park, which has really interesting walking paths, some huge slides, and a massive art installation that looks like a neglected roller coaster that somehow ties it all together. At Carrer de Josep Pla, we need to turn right. Until now, we've been able to ride between the car lanes, but they disappear at this intersection. This is where we need to pay attention to the arrows next to the bike signals. It's time to head to the beach anyway. Here's another shot of the roller coaster art piece. This time we have parking protected bike lanes, and they will lead directly to the beachfront promenade. What do you think about the bike lanes in Barcelona? Does your city dedicate space to cyclists so they can safely get around? Add a comment and let me know what your city is doing to keep cyclists safe. You can keep going straight to the waterfront esplanade, but I noticed there was a bridge to our left, and I'm a sucker for bridges. Turn left before Passeig de Garcia Faria, and follow the path to this white bike and pedestrian bridge. This elegantly designed bridge leads us over the car lanes and past a skate park before crossing one more lane to reach the promenade. Down here we are really close to a few big attractions, such as the Convention Center, the Science Museum, and a bunch of activities related to the Barcelona Forum. Turn right, and we have made it around the toe of the boot. In part 2 of this video, we will ride fully off the street and stay away from traffic, all within a stone's throw of the beach. Before you check that one out, let me know you enjoyed this video by pressing like. I'll see you on the next ride.